Two films, two performances, one actor. In 1941, Gary Cooper wrestled with God and war as a humble soldier in Sergeant York. In 1952, he stood alone as sheriff while Kane in High Noon, facing death in real time. One film inspired young men to enlist in World War II. The other ignited fierce debates about Hollywood, politics, and personal courage. Together, these two performances didn't just entertain America, they defined what courage meant in two very different eras. Welcome back to the channel. If you love cinema, history, and the stories behind the movies that shaped America, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Because today we're diving deep into Gary Cooper, courage, and the two roles that transformed America's screen and soul. Let's rewind to 1941. America wasn't at war yet, but the winds of battle were rising. Europe was already in flames, and Pearl Harbor was just months away. Into this uncertain world, Hollywood released Sergeant York, based on the true story of Alvin York, a poor Tennessee farm boy turned reluctant World War I hero. This film was more than a movie. It was a national rallying cry. Alvin York was a wild young man, a drinker and brawler, who underwent a religious awakening and swore never to take a life. But when war came calling, he faced a moral conflict. Could a man of God pick up a rifle? His answer changed history. On the battlefields of France, York single-handedly killed 25 German soldiers and captured 132 prisoners. One of the most extraordinary feats of courage in U.S. military history. But York had one condition for selling his life story. The movie's profits had to finance a Bible school in his hometown. Faith wasn't just a theme, it was the foundation. And who better to embody York's mix of humility, moral struggle, and quiet strength than Gary Cooper? Already a rising star, Cooper's performance brought dignity to a man torn between conscience and country. The result? Audiences were stunned. Young men left theaters and enlisted in droves. The film wasn't just entertainment. It was propaganda wrapped in reverence. Critics raved. The film scored 11 Oscar nominations, and Cooper won Best Actor. And then there was Walter Brennan as Pastor Pyle, grounding the moral debate with quiet authority. Even the music carried meaning. Max Steiner's score, blending hymns with battle marches, symbolized faith colliding with war. At its heart, Sergeant York told America this: faith and duty don't have to be enemies. Sometimes, courage means shouldering both. And in the dark months before Pearl Harbor, that message lit a fire of unity across the nation. Fast forward 11 years. America had changed. World War II was over. The Cold War was simmering. The Korean War raged overseas. And at home, Hollywood was in turmoil, divided by the Red Scare and the Blacklist. It was into this tense atmosphere that High Noon arrived in 1952. At first glance, it's a Western. Gary Cooper plays Sheriff Will Kane, a lawman about to retire. But just as he hangs up his badge, word spreads. A gang of killers is coming for him on the noon train. Kane turns to his town for help. One by one, they abandon him. His Quaker wife, played by Grace Kelly, begs him to run. His deputy deserts him. The townspeople hide in silence. And so Kane stands alone, waiting as the clock ticks down. What makes High Noon brilliant is its structure. The story unfolds in real time, just 85 minutes. Every cut, every shadow, every close-up is deliberate. The tension builds like a noose tightening around Kane's neck. Behind the camera, politics shaped everything. Screenwriter Carl Foreman was blacklisted for refusing to name names during the McCarthy hearings. Director Fred Zinnemann, an immigrant from Austria, knew firsthand the dangers of tyranny and silence. This wasn't just a Western. It was a parable about moral courage in the face of conformity and fear. Cooper, older now, delivered a performance stripped of Hollywood glamour. His sheriff isn't larger than life. He's weary, vulnerable, even frightened. But he refuses to run. And then there's the music. Dmitri Tiomkin's haunting ballad, "Do Not Forsake Me, Oh My Darling," runs like a heartbeat through the film, becoming one of cinema's most unforgettable themes. Audiences were divided. Some critics called it anti-American. John Wayne despised it, later making Rio Bravo as a direct rebuttal. But others saw it as the bravest Western ever made, a story about standing firm when everyone else looks away. The Academy agreed. High Noon won 4 Oscars, including Best Actor for Cooper. And yet, more than its awards, the film became a mirror. Was Kane a hero or a fool? Was his town cowardly or simply human? The debates raged then and still echo today. So what do these two performances, Sergeant York and High Noon, tell us about America? In 1941, courage meant unity, standing together, putting faith and duty above personal fears. That was Sergeant York. By 1952, courage had changed. It wasn't about unity. It was about standing alone when society crumbled. That was Sheriff Kane. One man fought with faith at his side. The other fought with only silence and principle. Together, they chart America's transformation, from wartime solidarity to Cold War isolation, from collective duty to individual conscience. And in both roles, Gary Cooper stood tall, not as a flawless hero, but as a man, ordinary, reluctant, human, which is why his performances resonate even now. Sergeant Alvin York and Sheriff Kane. 2 men separated by a decade. 2 performances by 1 actor. Both telling America, courage is never easy, but always necessary. Gary Cooper didn't just win 2 Oscars. He captured America's soul at 2 turning points in history. And maybe, just maybe, that's the secret of timeless cinema. It doesn't just entertain us. It shows us who we are. If you enjoyed this deep dive into classic Hollywood and the stories behind the screen, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Because here, every movie tells a story, not just of the screen, but of us.